Welcome to St. Louis Presents.
Hi, Debbie. You look layered for fall.
I know fall has finally arrived, so I've broken out the sweaters.
Is that one of your favorite seasons?
Sure.
Yeah, that did not sound sincere.
Spring is my favorite season, but
well.
yes, after the heat we had earlier in October, I'm happy to see fall.
Well, the colors are turning and everything. It feels
Finally.
like it. And this morning I went out to my garden and I wanted to show you. Look what I still have blooming though, and it can't be much longer for these.
No, thanks for bringing those in. You always bring little surprises in. I appreciate that.
And I also want to thank Tiffany Anderson, who works behind the scenes here at STL TV. She brought me these Halloween, they're salad tongs.
Oh, I thought they were back scratchers. I was going to borrow one.
Can you imagine the scary salad you could make with that? And I brought you one more thing for my garden.
Oh my goodness.
My last 3 cherry tomatoes.
Yay!
All right.
Yay! Nobody touched those.
Hey, listen, Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Eastern Missouri has a new volunteer campaign. They're calling it 90 Men in 90 Days, and we're going to explain that a little bit later.
Yes, and if you didn't know, one of the fastest growing fields, if you're looking for a job, is the medical field. And a business that started in an incubator a few years ago has grown to be a huge supplier of people in the industry. We'll find out exactly what they do when we return.
Wouldn't you like to open your door and find food?
Yes.
Find dinner on the other side of your door?
I'm not really a fan of cooking dinner after a long, long day.
I heard you don't like to cook lunch either, or breakfast.
Yeah, if somebody will do it for me, that's wonderful.
Well, Nourish by Hollyberry is a catering company, and they have like a meal subscription service that might be something you could use.
I am totally on board with that.
Great.
All right, so we have all that and more coming your way on this edition of St. Louis Presents, so stay with us. There are currently 1,000 kids waiting to be matched with a big brother or big sister.
In an effort to fill that need, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Eastern Missouri is embarking on a new volunteer recruitment campaign.
Kate Dopich is joining us right now to talk about 90 Men in 90 Days. That's a great name for a campaign, and tell us a little bit about how that's going so far.
Yeah, we launched it at the beginning of October, and this was our way to let our community know that we have, of that waiting list of children, majority are boys. So we need more men calling us to volunteer. So far, we have received 30 applications from men in our community, so we're pleased at that, but still have about 60 to go. So we're going to keep that word out there.
And Debbie, our guest here, knows what she's talking about. Do you know that this has been her entire career? Right?
Wow.
It has, yeah. January will be, I've been with the organization for 18 years.
So it's like right out of college.
Yes.
So what about this organization, you must feel passionate about it, or you wouldn't have been there 18 years?
I do. I truly, I'm a believer in the mission, and I think the thing that speaks to me most is that you can see it and feel it with your heart, right? You see those stories, you see our matches together, and no one can deny the power of a friendship in our lives, and getting to see that. The stories will make you laugh or cry. But then we partner that with the data of what happens because of those simple friendships in their lives, and see what's happening in our youth's lives. They're doing better at school. They're going on to post-secondary institutions, getting jobs, and so it's that power of that special relationship and the impact it makes. And I suppose a combination of a neurotic desire to keep solving the puzzle, because there is more to do.
Now, I am fortunate to know some big brothers, some
Yes.
bigs, and it's really opened my eyes, because I think maybe one of the things that stops people from becoming a big is they think it costs a lot of money and it takes so much time and you have to constantly be taking them to fabulous things,
Yes.
but that isn't the case.
It really isn't. And we think about the friends in our own lives. We don't expect them to take us out to fancy places. Sure, every once in a while we want to celebrate and go to a nicer restaurant. But really, it's more about spending time together, right? And it's we ask for 4 hours a month. So
that's all.
That's all. 2 Saturday afternoons, a Tuesday night dinner, whatever it may be. It's really just about having time together.
But can a big brother do more than that if they choose?
They can, yeah. I would say even though we ask for 4 hours, our average volunteer is probably spending more like 6 to 8 because it's just fun, right? When you're getting together.
I guess that must be a big brother there.
Yeah, that's Ben Boyd. I'm a fantastic big brother, long time.
A big brother of the year a few years ago.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, he's a fantastic big, and his little brother Jarvis.
And those hats are nice.
Again, the fun. It's just something you enjoy doing, right? Whether you're bowling or making a meal together, shooting hoops.
I guess we can't underestimate the positive effects an adult can have on a kid that doesn't naturally have it at home, maybe.
Absolutely, and I think it's important to share that the parents that call us are delightful to work with, and that's a courageous call to make to big brothers, big sisters,
and
help, say,
right?
I want more people in my life. I want more for my child, for my son or daughter, and they're so welcoming to these virtual strangers that come into their child's life. So we think that's a really powerful call and amazing that they have that trust in our organization. But then, yeah, when that relationship gets matched up, I think we all want more people in our corner, right?
So if somebody is curious and thinking, maybe I'll be a big, what is the process and how do you match them up with someone? And what if that relationship doesn't take, or does that happen?
Sure. Yeah, so our process is we try to make it that our staff is doing the heavy lifting on the process. We do, it starts with an application online where you can go to our website, and I know that information will be on the screen. But then they come into our office for an interview. We get to know them, and really that interview is getting to know who that volunteer is as a person so that we can make a great match. We work really hard to make sure that it is a match that will last. In fact, our agency was actually just celebrated. We won Agency of the Year, Large Agency of the Year in the Big Brother Big Sister Federation this year. And one of the reasons we won it was because our matches stay together so long, and the longest in the nation.
So 90 men in 90 days, you're looking for big brothers. What makes a big brother? How would I know if I could do a good job at that?
That's a great question. I think we're not looking for anyone with that Superman cape, right? It's what makes a great big brother is someone who wants to make a connection with a young person, has an hour or two to spare on a Saturday afternoon, and really is able to commit to a relationship.
But you don't care if I have a college degree or a lot of money or anything like that?
No, not at all.
And to have 1,000 kids on the waiting list, that's kind of daunting. I mean, I imagine some kids probably grow up before they get matched, which is a sad thing to think about.
Yes, we're every day powered by that waiting list to keep at it and keep getting the word out there in different ways. So we appreciate the opportunity. And we're always looking at how long that wait is so that we can try to reduce that as much as possible. And yeah, that is one thing. While we know we're going to get, we'll make about 200 new relationships between now and the end of the year, but there'll be 200 more youth that could join that list next month. So the work is not done, but it is always amazing to see the generosity of our community and the connections that they want to make.
Yeah, and I think one of the best spokesmen or spokespeople for the program are the bigs themselves, who tell amazing stories about these relationships that they form with, like you said, complete strangers.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's always great to hear the stories through the eyes of the big and how much fun they're having and the simplicity
I'm just laughing
of
at
it.
the big. You don't actually have to be big, though.
No. They're bigs and littles.
Right. That's
well,
right.
It's 90 men in 90 days, and certainly if you are a woman, you are absolutely welcome.
Please call us.
But of course, boys need some male mentors as well. So there's the information right there on the screen. They are online and all over social media. A fantastic organization, Big Brother Brothers, Big Sisters of Eastern Missouri. Kate Dobich, thanks for telling us about it, and best wishes to not just reach that goal, but exceed it by the end of the year. We appreciate it.
We're hoping so. Thank you so much.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about healthcare employment recruitment and what's involved there. So stay with us. We'll be right back on St. Louis Presents.
The Missouri Botanical Garden is loved by green thumbs and non-gardening types alike because you can play. You can relax. And there's always something new to experience, no matter the time of day or the season. And learn about conservation and one-of-a-kind plants. So come and experience St. Louis.
Welcome back. Well, if you are always on the go and you need some help preparing healthy meals, or you just don't love to cook, you are going to love my next guests. Holly Cunningham and Ellie Scott are here to tell us about Nourish by Hollyberry. Welcome to the program, and I have to say, Holly, I am very familiar with Hollyberry because I have been to many parties that have your ridiculously delicious dessert plates, which
Thank you.
are amazing. Have you always been a baker?
You know, I actually did start as a baker. My aunt and my mom's baked goods sold out at every bake sale. You know, that was really it. I am not culinary trained, but I hire some amazing chefs, and now we do fully catered events. And so, you know, that's how it starts. Start small.
So you started with that, and now you've moved on to, as you said, catering, and we have Nourish, which is the latest creation. Ellie Scott is here with us as well. You're the manager of Nourish. So what's Nourish?
So Nourish is a way for us to take some of our favorite catered meals and package them up to send home to families. So we have the local market where people can come in and you can grab freezer-made meals that our chefs prepare every week. Or we have a meal subscription service. So it's a mobile-based platform, and we send a menu out every week, and there's no long-term commitment. And so you can order meals and dips and desserts and appetizers and spreads that you'll be able to serve to your family at home.
So there are a lot of meal subscription services out there right now. It's a pretty competitive field, but this one is local.
Correct.
So if I, so they come frozen, right? I don't have to cook it myself. I think that's the important thing, because I think anyone who's tried one of those other, meal preparation things, sometimes you don't get around to cooking it. It's a lot of work still.
Right. I actually did some research on my own because I wanted to see, okay, how easy is this? It looks really easy. And maybe for some people it is, but for me, I love to cook. So when I'm cooking on my own, I want to find my own recipe. I'm going to look on Pinterest. I want to do it myself. But when I have a busy night and I want to feed my family well, I don't have time for that. So I need to have something fast. So this is designed, it's a chef prepared meal. So they're going to be restaurant quality, probably better than I would make, but they're already prepared and flash frozen. So all you're doing is taking it out of your freezer and directly into the oven or into the microwave. And so that just makes it still that nourishing meal, but then you have that nourishing time with your family, which was really my mission and vision about creating this whole concept.
So one of the, there are other places that have prepared meals, but they tend to be just single meals. And so then it gets kind of expensive if you have, 6 people to feed and you have to buy these individual meals for every person.
Right. And we wanted to make sure that it was something that's going to feed different dietary needs and different family sizes as well. So if you're, say you're paleo and you go and you get one thing that's just for you, what's the rest of your family going to eat? So, we have some things like our Mary's Mighty Good meatballs that have no dairy and no gluten in them, and they're packed with veggies. And so that's something that you could feed to your kids, and they're going to love it. It's a family favorite.
So you hide the veggies in the meatballs.
We hide the veggies wherever we can, absolutely.
Yep.
Is that what's behind the name Nourish?
Partially.
A little bit.
Yeah, partially, yes, because it is hard to get those veggies in there. And then to Ellie's point also, with the different sizes of families, you can choose if you want, it's the same amount of food, but you can choose it packaged for 2 people or 4 people. So even if you're a busy couple or even a single person and you just need something that you can quickly feed yourself at the end of a busy day and still feel good about it, that there's options there.
So one of the other things about the national subscription services, when they send you the food you have to make, is you get this huge box and it's got all these individual things and this big, like all this packaging that you're supposed to recycle and everything. So is that how I would receive it on my doorstep?
Yes. So this is all the packaging you're going to get. So this bag is reusable. And then it's going to come in pans like this. So these are also recyclable, which is really great. And so Holly mentioned that we'll package your entrees in 2 ways. So you'll either get one of these, which is going to be 4 servings, or you'll get 2 of these, which will be 2 servings per entree. So I know for my household, there's 2 of us, but we have opposite schedules, so it's almost like we live alone. So we'll do that 2 serving option. And I can come home and I can, put it in the oven. I can walk my dog, check my email, do whatever it is that I need to do. Dinner is ready, and then I can eat my portion. And then when my sister comes home, if she wants to eat her portion, she can. If she doesn't, then I can take it for lunch the next day. And so I love that we're not wasting things. And that was the other thing with the big subscription package. If you don't cook that immediately, you've wasted however much money.
Right, it's so much pressure. I don't have time to make this right now.
And I still really love to cook. Some of our customers, they love to cook, and some of our customers, this is all that they do, which is great either way. We wanted to make something that was going to be flexible depending on your lifestyle.
So what has the reaction been so far? Because people like local. I mean, it's easy to buy things online somewhere and you never know where it's coming from, but this is from here, and I'm sure you're doing seasonal and locally sourced foods as well, right?
Right. So, Hollyberry started 20 years ago as a catering company here locally in St. Louis. We're still doing that. We're still creating great events. We're still doing all of those things. So a lot of people know that Hollyberry name. We actually even worked with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we do a Hollyberry, we do a gift that gives a donation to Big Brothers. So there's just a lot of synergy here locally. So they feel comfortable. Not only is the food in transit very short period of time, but they're also getting a lot of locally made products as well.
Okay, so I have to ask before we have to go, since the holidays are around the corner, I think that a gift subscription would be perfect.
It is.
Is that a possibility?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, online.
Okay, so if you're watching, this is what I want for Christmas.
Yeah, you can get a gift certificate both online for the meal subscription, which is incredible, or even for the market. And you can always get helpers in the market for your holiday events coming up. So.
All right, well, great work, and I will check in and see how the subscription is growing. It's Nourish by Hollyberry, so I'm very hungry right now, thinking about that macaroni and cheese thing I saw in there. So there's the information right there on the screen, and you can get more information there for sure. So Holly and Ellie, thank you for stopping by to tell us more about Nourish, and right now we're going to get fed some news headlines from Steve Potter.
Hollyberry, is that right, Debbie?
Yeah.
Hollyberry? Oh, I was confused. I thought that actress was going to be on. Hollyberry, forget it. Well, the city of St. Louis has announced it will be lifting the residency requirement for up to 50 new police recruits starting later this year. The Civil Service Commission approved the change at Mayor Lyda Krewson's request in order to supplement the normal hiring process. She called the move essential to public safety, as the city is down between 130 to 150 officers on any given day. The commission will issue waivers to qualified new recruits living outside of city limits beginning on December the 1st, and you can learn more about the St. Louis Police Academy at slmpd.org. Passengers traveling through Terminal 1 at St. Louis Lambert International Airport need to be aware of lane closures and shifts in passenger pickup zones for the next several weeks due to construction on the north and south arrival lanes of Terminal 1. Pickup zones for passengers, hotel shuttles, charter buses, and rideshare have all been moved, and many of the crosswalks to and from the Terminal 1 garage are also closed. Passengers should look for signage directing them to the new temporary pickup locations. Work is expected to be completed in December, weather permitting. And for more information on the construction project, visit flystl.com. It's been 114 years since St. Louis became America's first Olympic city, and now we have a permanent display to commemorate the historic event and our region's ongoing contributions to the Olympic movement. The new Olympic rings are located near the northeast corner of Washington University's Francis Field, which was the site of the 1904 Olympic Stadium. Several St. Louis Olympians participated in the grand unveiling ceremony of the Olympic Spectacular, which is here thanks to the efforts of the St. Louis Sports Commission's Olympic Legacy Committee. The committee has several more initiatives in the works, and you can learn more about those at stlouis1904legacy.org. And this year marks Steinberg's 60th anniversary, and to celebrate, Board of Aldermen President Lewis Reed hosted a roller skating party. Our cameras joined him to reminisce with the skaters while checking out some legendary moves. Take a look at this.
Watching them skate, and I came across a remarkable guy by the name of Brian Morris, who's my mentor, who he's the only guy that I seen that came out with the, he took the back wheels off first, and he was skating around with the front wheels. Okay, he also was the one that got married on skates and Skate King too, the only one that got married on skates. So our protege came into the play, which is Tina.
So I started skating when I was 19, back in 2000. When I first learned, I saw Thomas Bowie with no wheels on his back, on the back of his skates. I had him take my back wheels off, and from then I started learning from him, Leo, Jerry, everybody. If I saw somebody doing something that I wanted to do, I'd say, hey, how you do it?
And you can see more of the celebration of Steinberg's skating rink with Lewis Reed right here on STL TV and on your YouTube channel.
I'm not much of a skater, I have to admit.
I used to be.
Weak ankles.
I used to be.
Well, in 2003, Jordan Search Consultants began providing healthcare recruitment solutions as a St. Louis incubator operation.
And in the 15 years since, the firm has grown into a national company. Joining us now is the founder of JSC, Kathy Jordan. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So from an incubator, or maybe first in your home, to an incubator, to being a company that works on a nationwide level, that's pretty impressive.
Must have been easy, right?
Oh, yeah. Super. Snap
No
your
sweat.
fingers.
Well, we all know that the healthcare industry is just growing by leaps and bounds as the baby boomers age and we all need, more care. So does that make your job easier or harder?
It makes it harder. Every organization nationwide basically needs physicians. It used to be that there was mainly the smaller towns, the rural communities that had shortfalls. But in today's competitive environment, I don't care if you're in St. Louis, WashU, MU, Mayo, there's challenges to recruit.
Well, Kathy, what's your backstory? Back when you were starting this in your kitchen and in the incubator or whatever, what was your original idea and how did that grow?
I went into the industry because I wanted to be a physician. That didn't work out. So what do you do with a marketing degree? I decided to try this out at a different firm. So I was there for about 10 years and then went out on my own, anticipating I might just be a solo consultant, maybe one or two staff. But as our reputation grew, we did good work, became apparent it was a choice of stay small or take the next step. So it was a tough decision to make, went with my gut and some coaching and decided to go ahead and explore the possibilities of what we could do. And today, we are actually looking at expanding our offices now because we're outgrowing our space.
Wow. People hear a lot about the nursing shortage and how basically if you graduate from nursing school, you have a job before you
Absolutely.
graduate, but I don't think most people think about a physician shortage.
Right. The shortage isn't, they're going to be a shortage of about 130,000 physicians by 2030. I mean, we are really looking
How
at
many?
130,000 physicians. Yeah, it's, you know, we added all the baby boomers now need more care. They need all the GIs, the cardiologists. We're adding 30 million people into healthcare as we try to make sure all Americans have healthcare. So that's creating the shortage. And people think that when, you know, when you need a doctor, you just go out and pick the one you want. But in reality, the physicians now are so marketable, they can go anywhere they choose.
Isn't that a problem? I don't know how to put this. I would think doctors probably are needed most in underserved communities, right?
That's a big shortage.
And doctors are people, and they care about where they live. So is it ever a problem maybe to get because if a doctor has a choice, is it hard to sometimes to get a doctor to go to where they're really needed?
You know, that's a great question, Steve. We have found that your heart is in that area, if that's where you want to go. I built my career initially in the first company I worked with around small towns. That's what I was known for, rural communities, really tough recruits. And I always had great pride in that I made a difference, not just in the organization and the physician getting a job, but the community now had health care. So that is a big, big challenge. But we have found that if you really get out and you search for the right physician, they're going to have that cultural, that empathy, that ability. They want to go into communities. You know, we have physicians that only want to work with HIV patients. We have physicians that their heart is in the underserved communities. You know, they want to make sure people are getting that kind of health care. But if you go put an ad out to try to find that person, they're not going to answer. It's our networking, it's our digging, it's understanding all, you know, we have a database of over 850,000 physicians. So that tells us, you know, we know how to reach them and network with them.
That's interesting because, you know, if you look online at just anonymous job postings, you don't get that same feel. You don't get that same feel for candidates. We hear all the time about all these, you know, job recruitment things online where you just, you know, swish through them, but what you're saying is it's the personal relationships that really does the job.
Probably less than 20% of our placements come from an ad we've placed. You know, we do it. We post on all the physician job boards. We go to all the societies and the associations. But in reality, it's our phone calling. It's our emailing. You know, it might take 8 to 10 touches before a physician finally says, you know what, that's where my hometown is.
Is money and compensation part of the mix?
It is. It is. I mean, obviously, you went into this for a good career, but it's different than it was in the past. Before, people went into being a physician because that was one of the highest paying industries there was to go into, but that's not the case anymore. I mean, you can go into IT, you know, there's a million areas you can go into to make good money. So now we're finding physicians that come into healthcare are coming in because they love it. And they're doing it with more compassion and for the right reasons.
Now, are you just placing physicians, or do you place other medical professionals as well?
We do physicians, and we're doing what we call mid-levels or advanced practice providers. These are your NPs, nurse practitioners, your PAs, physician assistants. They're the ones that are going to make up the difference for the physician shortage. They're staffing all the rural clinics. They're seeing patients on their own. You know, I'm sure probably both of you, if you went into your physician, you may have been with a PA or an NP at one point. So they're helping with that shortage. We also do executives, so we're talking the C-suites, CMOs, CFOs, CEOs, physician leadership, chiefs, chairs, academic institutions. We work with several academic institutions.
How do you measure your success?
It's basically repeat clients, referrals, and just knowing that we have made a difference in the communities we serve. My team takes great pride in knowing, wow, we know that little town in Illinois is going to get their health care.
Really interesting. Well, fascinating, and congratulations from the kitchen to expanding your company.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for telling us more about Jordan Search Consultants. You see the information right there if you have any questions, or maybe you're a physician yourself or medical professional. We hope that you have enjoyed this edition of St. Louis Presents.
And we want to thank all our guests for joining us today, and everyone at home for watching.
Have a great fall. We'll see you next time.
Bye.